Genshin Impact. Oh, Genshin Impact. Why is such an amazing game, and yet there's still some flaws that kinda needs to be addressed to make the game feels better. I'm not gonna talk about endgame, which is one of the biggest missing points from the game currently, but instead I'm going to talk about the quality of life update. There are many quality of life that can be added into the game at this point, but I'm planning to talk about my top 5 that will really makes the game feel a lot better and smoother to play for the majority of the players. Do bear in mind, among my 5 points here, some of them are going to overlap with my previous video, top 5 Honkai style features that Genshin needs. So don't be too surprised for those who have watched that video, since I do believe that those quality of life improvement really will make the game ever slightly more fun to play. I'm going to rank them based on urgency plus how likely they are going to be added into the game. Well, without further ado, here are my top 5 qualities of life that Genshin really needs, starting with number 5. Number 5 is specific base artifact crafting. Very unfortunately, this has been a plea from the Genshin community over the years since the game's release, and it feels like it is being ignored by the developers for a very long time, at least until the artifact strongbox was implemented into the game. I do believe that the artifact farming system in the game is designed so badly, be it intentional or an oversight. But I believe that a game that has a full random elements to it most of the time will only lead to further frustrations instead of excitement. That's why the artifact strongbox was such a positive quality life update. But it still doesn't fully address the issue of full randomness of artifact farming in Genshin, which can be extremely frustrating for someone that is very unlucky, like me. For example, I spent nearly 2,000 resins just trying to get the Marashose crit damage circlet, not caring for its sub-stats, so that I can actually use Risley for farming in the overworld. And I really wish that resins and the time that I spend farming can be used somewhere else. So I feel that I'm not being respected for my time. However, there's still a glimmer of hope since Starrail implemented this feature since their launch. It's like this: if another successful game of Hoyoverse are willing to put such a system, and it is being received quite well, given enough push from their fans, they may actually be putting this feature soon. I really hope so, at least. Just be able to craft specific pieces that you want. You possibly can save so many hours in resins, and possibly spending them elsewhere like more EXP or other materials. Once again, I really hope this thing will be addressed soon. But seeing we are many years into the game but still no signs of improvements, I can't help but think that the chance is quite low. That's why I'm only putting this at number 5. Moving on to number 4, higher normal or fragile resin cap, or at least adding Resin Reserves. This is another one taken from Starrail, which I think will really benefit the Genshin players overall. I don't know the percentage of how many people are able to spend many hours in a day to play Genshin, but I do know that there are some people who are only able to play about an hour a day to just do dailies and spend their resins and log out because they have other things that they need to take care of, even though they really would love to play Genshin some more. And most of the time, they end up only have enough time to play on weekends. Raising cap for the natural resin or fragile resin would really help those kind of gamers. And if the developers refuse to increase the cap, at least put the reserve system in place, like Honkai Star Rail. I, for one, being one of the gamers in that category, will be extremely grateful and still have motivation to play, since I know I can still catch up with some farming thanks to the reserve system. But then again, I don't know if the developers have any data on the percentage of the players that are actually able to log in for a few hours a day. If it's only a minority, I can see that they don't see much point in implementing it, since I don't know if that will increase the revenue, because once again, game is still a business. That's why I'm only putting this on number 4. And moving on to number 3, buff duration indication. This is something quite personal. This is more like me as a mediocre player. It is so difficult to keep track on what buffs are currently active on the characters and how long till they are expired. I know that in order to master this, you need to build some kind of sense and get used to your team character rotations, and whatnot, but not everyone is able to do that. Having a visual indication will be very helpful, since it will help to tell you when you are ready to do your rotation. Just want to share my recent experience. This happened to me when I had to switch Zhongli with Layla in the Abyss. I'm so used to having Zhongli's shield that lasts for a long time, but I had to swap Zhongli to a different team, and then my Nuvilite got knocked out of his charge attack after realizing that Layla's shield duration was just expired so fast. I'm sure hardcore Genshin player will just laugh at me, calling me noob, but hey, many different players have their own strengths and weaknesses. And many of those players hate it, that's why I would like to suggest that this to be added as an optional feature that can be toggled off and on. By having the option to toggle it on and off, people can decide whether having those indicators will be helpful for them or not. This kind of quality of life update that really helps some players to improve their in-game performance is very helpful, but there's a chance that the current version of the game is the developer's vision on how the game must be played and not wanting to change it. So taking that into account, I think I'm only going to put it on the number 3. Number 2, further artifact sorting during strongbox and artifact upgrade. I think this is a little bit of a much needed update. This is only a small thing that I really want to be added, honestly. I've collected so many artifacts over the years to the point before all of the log function was introduced into the game. My current issue is that after you fight the weekly bosses or material bosses, you will get the old artifacts like the Wandered Troop, and most of the time I don't need a new copies, maybe except the goblets that can be used. And after that, I want to get rid of these old artifacts and I have to scroll through of that massive list of artifacts that I have gathered over the years. And locking all of these artifacts one by one will be such a pain in the ass. It would be very nice if it could be sorted based on date obtained, like how it is for Honkai Star Rail. That way I can get rid and feed all of these useless new artifacts into another artifacts or to the strongbox, while keeping all of my old artifacts as it is. It's just a minor gripe that I have at the moment with how artifact sorting is. This small change will go a long way, and I can see that being implemented relatively easily for the developers. So that's why I put it on the number 2. Lastly, number 1, artifact loadout. This is something that many players have been asking from the developers at this point in Genshin Impact, maybe quite recently. Over the years, the way a characters can be played has been branching out to multiple different ways. For example, for someone like Raiden Shogun can be played as a burst DPS, or you can use her as Super Boom off-field triggerer. Or for someone like Thoma that can be used as a Virgin, Driver, or purely a shielder build for your team. At the moment, in order for them to change their role, you have to go through all of this trouble of changing their artifacts one by one. For example, if you want to change Thoma from the Virgin build to a pure shielder build, and go back again, and vice versa. However, if there's an artifact loadout, you can just register the artifact needed for each of the build, and press a few buttons to change on how you want the characters to be played, instead of the usual long swapping the artifacts one by one. And I believe each character will need at least 3 loadouts, since there might be 3 different ways a character can be played. With how Genshin has growing for the past 3 years or so does the characters in the game and how the players want them to be played. That's why I think in terms of urgency, this is number 1. And also I can see that quite likely for it to be added into the game. And that's the list. What quality of life do you guys really want to see to be added into Genshin Impact from now on? So far, they have been adding essential quality of life such as the multi-layered map when it comes to exploration, daily commission points for doing other stuff so you can save a little bit of time while doing quests and don't have to worry about daily commission. And of course, lastly, the nice addition of Artifact Strongbox, which, as I have mentioned in the part of this video, it still needs a little bit further tuning for. As of now, Genshin Impact seems like it still has at least a few more years until the completion of the current main story arc. So there's still a lot of time for more quality of life update to be added. Maybe one quality of life update, a version at a time. Let's hope that is the case from now on. Well, that's all I would like to say about quality of life update. I hope you like what you heard, and don't forget to add any of those quality of life that you want when you fill the survey at the end of each update. I'm pretty sure it's already up at this point for this version, so do that. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more game related content, especially Hoyoverse games like Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. Until the next video, stay sharp gamers.